is back in the news. Mago, what is your party and Okudzeto Ablakwah looking for again? Hasn't the explanations been enough?
Thank you, Johnny, and a very special good morning to you, your team, your listeners, wherever they are, and your Facebook viewers. A special good morning to them. I mean, this is a country we all have, and we must make sure Ghana works again. There are statistics that shows that in other Africa countries, they don't wait to register their protests during elections. Any day, any time they are not comfortable with something, they voice it out. And it seems that Ghanaians, we are very patient and we try to wait for 4 years. But I'll urge all Ghanaian youth, because per statistics, in some few years to come, about 60% of our population will be below 30. So we won't allow the old guys to destroy this country for us. Johnny, I will commend Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwah for his yeoman's job and for being so selfless and putting Ghana first before every other thing he's doing. It is for him that he raised issues and concerns in Parliament, where the finance minister was called to Parliament. And that was when the whole country realized that we have so far spent state money, you and I, our money, taxpayers' money, $58 million in the National Cathedral project on the blind side of Parliament. It was Ablakwah that did that job. It's the same Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwah who has raised several issues in Parliament concerning this cathedral that made this extension of going abroad to look at other evidence, because we all realized President Nana said he made a vow or whatever to God that he will build him a cathedral if he makes him a president. If really God made President Nana a president, building a cathedral shouldn't be a problem. So a cathedral that has so much controversies around it, a cathedral that has the secretariat, the secretary, being called Reverend Kusibuatin, and from the application his lawyers took to Parliament when he had the case with Ablakwah, the lawyers stated in the documents that the Kusibuatin is his alias, and that his real name is the Kwabena Edu Jemfi. All of us seated here, Johnny, I have an alias.
Right.
My alias is Mago.
Mago, right.
But under no circumstance have I ever thought to write Mago on my examination papers. The appointment President Mahama gave me as a municipal chief executive, my name was clearly written, Margaret Ansay. So how do we accept an alias having a diplomatic passport from the real name? And we are entertaining this till now. And now most revealing or most surprising is that there is a trustee in charge to raise funds. So an extension of the cathedral in the USA. They are supposed to raise funds. There's some that, according to Okudzeto Ablakwah, about 6 million has been paid to the agents. And the cathedral, the secretariat responded and saying it is not more than $1 million, even if it's 1 CD. Somebody must account for it. And the point is that the address they gave, the MP went there to look for the Nehemiah office or whichever office is in charge on the National Cathedral website. And to his surprise, there is no office. They haven't vacated the place or even yet to rent the place. There is no, and you all know how US system is. When I have friends, when you just Google their addresses, right, their house, even the bedrooms, kitchen, everything shows. You don't hide anything in the US. And the cathedral responded that there was an agent. Honorable Ablakwah said he asked, there is no agent receiving any mails or letters. But you see, my point is that if Nanado is doing this with his pocket money, and is shredded in all secrecy and lack of transparency, I do not care about it. So but
what's your perturbation?
My point is that a whooping about 400 million taxpayers' Ghana money has gone into the most expensive hole in the world. It's been dug there. The money, 400 million, is in that hole called Cathedral. That one alone doesn't doesn't make me sick. But for the fact that the passport office had been demolished, ministers, the former minister for energy, his residence was there. Now it's normal. The Malian embassy, a whole lot. The judge's apartment. And according to the Chief Justice, we need about 50 million to put that back wherever we get land or whatever. So what is the sense? So the taxpayer is going to pay for all this compensation and is using its money again to build a cathedral that over 400 million, they haven't laid any block. But Johnny, why are we entertaining this as a country? That the president will wake up, see a vision or whatever. And you see, for prophecy or vision or vows, read it with the lenses of the scripture.
What does it say?
If the Bible said that if you make a vow, redeem it. For God does not take pleasure in fools. Pay your vow. Why do you bring all of us into your vow and it has become so messy, lack of transparency? Reverend ministers are resigning that it is not transparent. They don't know how much it costs. Blah, 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 blah. I mean,
but the government has explained that, we're not extending it. There's some tourism bit that will be brought to it, the Bible Museum and all those things.
Nana said it this morning. In the scripture, the only place or where I saw Jesus angry was when they were trading in his father's house. He flogged them. If you want to build a cathedral for God, for what purpose and intent? You want him to be worshipped, you want him to come and stay there, and we will get divine throne room grace as a country. What is this tourism? Now you want to use it as a business center or what? Commercialization. You see, the president is going nowhere. That is why he's carrying all of us blindly.
Oh, why are you saying that?
If you are a man of vision, Johnny, when you wake up this morning, you have your itinerary. You know what you are doing at 6, 7, 8, 30, 9. You know when you are sleeping. So when you are carrying somebody, that the person knows your vision. This man is on autopilot. He's going nowhere. He's leading us blindly. That is why we are here.
Okay, Nanaya, let me bring you in. Do you also feel you are being led blindly and nowhere?
The whole country is being led blindly on the matter of the cathedral.
Oh, you too. Come on.
No, but the point is that the issues that have come up. Did you know about it? Did you know?
No,
that
I didn't know about this US thing.
That is the point. So we're all led blindly. Money is being raised offshore. We are not aware of it. Even the US doesn't have an in-depth understanding of what is going on. Because of the US, they don't joke with their taxes.
Right.
And the US, the IRS in the US have not deducted any taxes from any money. Somebody has been paid $6 million as a consultant for fundraising. Do you get me? And we are asking the IMF to give us $3 billion. We are engaged in a $6 billion illicit gold trade. We are asking IMF to give us $3 billion. I mean, look at what is going on. And now we want to also steal from God.
Oh, how do you say that?
Because you see,
you can't say that.
No, my point is that I normally don't use these words.
Right.
But when it comes to God, I get very upset when I think that people are trying to misuse his name. Because, Johnny, I'm a Christian and I'm a believer. And I'm saying that money that has been sunk in those holes, it can build a church for God.
So you agree with Bishop Dag Heward-Mills?
Yes, it can build a church for God. You don't need 339 million Ghana cedis. It cannot build a church for God. It can build a cathedral for God, where it is a national cathedral, and we have sung it in holes. How is that? How is that? And now you have a company that is not linked to the Ghana one in the US raising funds at the blind side of Ghana. So as you waste the taxpayers' money in Ghana, you are wasting the taxpayers' money in the US as well.
What should the government be doing now?
The government should stop the National Cathedral.
But TUC says convert it into an hospital.
For now, they should stop it. Yes, for now they should stop it. Because you see, what God built his own temple. When God wanted Solomon to build, he provided the cash. There was no ambiguity about it.
But David provided the materials ahead.
Yes, but even God said that, David, you cannot build my temple because your hands are tainted. Your son will do that. Even though David was a man after God's heart, but because he killed somebody.
Yeah, Bathsheba's
husband. Did you get me? He said
Uriah's wife.
Yes, he said your hands are tainted with blood, not the war that he was engaged in as a warrior and a king, but that blood that he shed. And do you know how many people have died because they don't have access to good medical care? Do you know? And that is on the head of the government. Johnny, be sick in this country and you know what it means, how poor medical care is. Then you will know that is the reason why when they are sick, they sit in the plane and they go to Mayo Clinic in the US. One of the most expensive clinics in the world.
I know the clinic they go to too.
Do you get me?
Mayo Clinic.
I'm not mentioning anybody. I said that's why they go to Mayo Clinic. Yes.
Okay. That's where he went.
Because you see, if you get sick in this nation, and even if one person dies, because we don't have adequate health care, the TUC General Secretary is saying convert it. I am saying the money you are using fruitlessly, you put it to good use for Ghanaians. Because Jesus Christ said that if you love me, feed my flock.
Are you surprised that the special prosecutor has not taken an interest in all of what Mr. Okudzeto Ablakwah is doing?
He has just started. Let's see what happens.
But Ablakwah has been on for a long time.
But the first one looked like between him and somebody else.
Mr. Kusibuati.
Yes, Kusibuati.
Which the court has said
yes. So now he's brought in some very substantial issues, which is even a bit criminal. Because you are hiding. You are taking money on behalf in the name of the people of Ghana, and you are hiding. Why are you hiding? Why don't you have people who are core in the Ghana team on that team? Besides, as I was saying on your sister station, if you want to raise funds in the US, and it is a church project, we have a huge Ghanaian Christian community in the US.
That's right.
There are churches. The people who are on the cathedral as trustees, they have churches over there. Duncan Williams has churches. They have it all over the place. Maryland, all over the place. Do you get me? That Heward Mills has churches. These people can be, once they have been able to penetrate the American system to set up churches for even some of the Americans to be there and worship. It means that they have some links that they can even help the government or Ghana to raise funds. When the MPP was coming into government, they went to the US to raise funds.
That's right.
Did they take a consultant?
In fact, even the National Cathedral.
Do you get me? Did they take a consultant? My dear, I am talking about at a time where they were broke and that they were in opposition. The people in the US in the diaspora raise funds for them. Yeah. Why are they not using the same system? Did they get a consultant to link them to the Ghanaians in the diaspora? No. They use personal contacts. They use the people they know. So these same personal contacts are the bishops and the archbishops on this cathedral project. But no, they are doing their own thing, always hiding. It's as if it's a scam. Even the office that is for the non-profit, it is not functional. Now they are telling us that they just registered so that letters will be received. Who said that a CSO cannot have an office? Because as part of your budget, you include allowance for staff or even some technical people you have employed who you should pay.
So you think we have been scammed?
Yes, of course. This one day we have been scammed. I'm telling you.
Wow.
Yeah, because why is it hiding? 92. Who is taking the money? On whose behalf? And how much have they collected? That is the most important. And now you are paying somebody 6 million. Now National Cathedral is saying that it's not even 1 million. To even pay $20 for somebody to raise funds for you without the country knowing about it is woefully unacceptable.
Haja,
Johnny,
have you scammed the people of Ghana?
Johnny,
yes,
let's start with the scenario.
Yes.
We are sitting at 3 FM now. We're on, is it
Sunrise Morning Show? Yes.
Sunrise has an executive producer, right?
That's right.
We don't know her or him. Then we leave here and someone accuses this executive producer that's just for argument purposes. Will we say Johnny scammed us because Johnny didn't tell us who the executive producer was? Johnny,
They are not paying them with their taxes.
please.
They are not raising funds.
Allow Laura to.
But now they are killing this enterprise in the US to executive production.
Let Laura to finish.
This enterprise in the US, you are killing it to executive
when
production.
they do their propaganda, and you try
this one is not
to
propaganda.
when they do their propaganda,
Right.
and you try to draw the attention of listeners to it, this is how they behave. They will echo you. Nanaya and Mago and their cohorts. Johnny, Nanaya and Mago agree in principle that there's nothing wrong with building a national cathedral. They are sitting here. If I'm
with your own
wrong,
money.
Well, I'm wrong.
A promise you made to God.
They don't see anything. In principle, they agree with building a cathedral.
Now
This is something that started.
Allow her, please.
You are reading our minds.
Allow her. Your microphones are off. Allow Haja. Haja, go ahead.
Me as a Muslim, right? For us, the kind of benefit, reward you get from building a place of worship, because one of the three things that stays when you pass is people praying for you.
Right.
And people praying for you, where else would they pray for you? At a place of worship.
I agree.
How much more a nation that claims to be religious? We don't do anything without praying.
3FM.
Having a place that everybody can congregate and praying, because that is what we believe in.
But the basis of this promise of building a place of prayer.
Let me build my point. But that doesn't mean that if something is going wrong with the management of such an infrastructure, nothing should be said about it. What Okujeto is doing, there's nothing wrong about it. Trying to find, getting information and trying to find out what is happening. And you see, I disagree with him, and I'm sure every well-meaning Ghanaian who wants things to be done and done well will disagree with him.
What's your point
with
of view?
His approach?
What's your with the approach?
Johnny,
how is going about it?
There's this. How do you say it? Nobody is guilty until proven guilty.
That's right.
Right.
You are innocent until proven guilty.
You are innocent until proven guilty. And everybody who is accused of anything or any allegation is leveled against them or their person by natural justice has a right to fair hearing. Nanaya and Mago sitting here have mentioned revered men of God in this country. These people are on the board of trustees. That should tell you something.
Some have resigned. They are not there.
One has resigned.
Two.
That is on record.
3, 4.
That is on record.
Otabel,
We all read his letter. I think it was about 7 or 4 pages. I don't remember. And even with him, it was a matter of approach, not the principle of building a cathedral.
But you see, Lorato, sorry,
Johnny,
sorry. I think
Johnny,
that
if you don't let me flow, you see, when Mago says you are defending, when we get the opportunity to come and sit on air, ours is to explain the issues and educate the people. The people who listen to us are discerning. The people who listen to us are the reason why we sit. The people who listen to us is their money, the tax that they pay. Part of it is contributing to this cathedral, so they need to know what you.
Absolutely.
So, as a member of parliament who has a pact with the people of North Tongue, and by that a pact with the people of Ghana, to have oversight responsibility of what is done with state resources and what government does, get such critical information, and his first instinct is to put it in the public domain and create biases about it. Then at the end of the day, when our institutions are weak When investigation reports come out and people
Haja,
don't accept it, and our institutions are, who do you be?
Haja, I'll come to you on this point. I know Nanaya wants to run and leave for a meeting, so I'll stay with Mago and Haja. But let's go on to the phone line. Another subject matter. Anthony Odro Denchira is a labor economist and statistician and member of the annual Household Income and Expenditure Projects Implementation team at the Ghana Statistical Service. Anthony, good morning. Thank you very much for your time, sir. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well. And how are you too?
I'm greater than Accra. There's data that you have put out there that has sparked a lot of public conversation.
As well.
Right. I'm saying that there's data that you have put out there that has sparked a lot of public conversation. What exactly did you say that has sparked a lot of people talking over each other and some talking with each other and at each other? What did you say?
Sorry, sister. Sorry, I think internet.
Can you hear me? This is Johnny. Can you hear me?
I think I'm having challenge with the internet connectivity. Could you repeat what you said?
I'm saying that there is some publication or a report that has been released recently that has generated a lot of public conversation from your quarters. For those who have uninitiated, what exactly did you say that has gotten everybody talking?
That is bad. Let me see.
Well,
okay. Is it?
I can hear you from here. I don't know if you can hear me as well. Hello?
Yes.
Well,
I can hear you.
You can hear. I can also hear you. Did you hear my question, sir?
As well.
Hello, sir.
What is happening?
Well, unfortunately, we can't. Let's try again, and let's try again and see if we can reconnect. Aja, so sorry, you were airborne.
So what I'm saying is, when it comes to some of these things,
right,
nobody is saying when something is a mess, nobody should investigate. But if the people who are supposed to make sure that our institutions work,
right,
are bypassing these institutions to do, I don't know whether he wants to do a movie premiere, sending notices of how he's going to release information, releasing bombshell, to what end? You allege the institution will respond, people will form their opinions, then how do we get solutions to it? That is where I disagree with you.
So
it's not a popularity contest.
So
it's a nation we are building. When you find something on top, they are institutions.
The same principle that you want to apply.
Yes, please.
Can we flip the coin and apply the same principle on the president?
What's the principle?
The president then said, look, I will build a cathedral for God if he gives me a second term. That's my personal pledge to God. And then he said, we will not spend state resources. I remember Professor Pukunina reiterating that point over and over again. Now, subsequently, we asked questions, and then we're told about the land and all of those. I'll come to this conversation. Mr. Denchira, thank you very much for your time. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity.
Great. So I asked earlier that you had published a report that has generated a lot of public conversation. For those who are uninitiated, what exactly did you publish that has raised a lot of eyebrows?
Okay, so thank you, and a very good morning once again. Yesterday, the government assistant published the labor force report of the third quarter of the annual household income and expenditure survey, which has a labor force component. And so that is the report that was published yesterday.
And in it, what did you say? That women and men, people are twisting the thing all over again. I want to hear from the horse's own mouth.
Okay, so thank you. I'm sure it has to do with the unemployment rate.
Absolutely.
So what it is that for the third quarter, the unemployment rate, according to the IHS, is actually 13.7. But then in terms of persons, it's 1.76 million. And we are saying that the rate is as twice higher of females than males. So, for example, the national, if you look at the rate, whereas that of male for quarter 3, it was 0.58. That of female was 1.17. That's why we are saying that about 1.7 million persons were unemployed, with a number of females as high as twice that of males. I think that is what is generating the controversy.
Now, again, the question is, why has it become difficult for women particularly to get jobs, especially when they are in the majority by way of our population?
All right, so I think that one will have to subject it to, if you like, behavioral analysis and all that. But generally, I mean, or culturally, we know that female labor force participation is difficult compared to men, because a woman may give up after one or two sets, whereas a man would persist, because obviously the man is supposed to be the breadwinner, and so would want to do everything to get a job to be able to take care of the household or the family. And so labor hindrances, in the labor market in terms of female labor force participation could be a reason.
And in your findings, did you also discover the fact that women were being sexualized before being given jobs, and which is why most of them would want to stay away from asking for jobs because of the consequences that they may come with?
No, that was not asked. In fact, rather what was asked in doing the labor force survey is reasons for inactivity. So in other words, why were you not engaged in any economic activity 7 days preceding the survey? And so that is what we ask in line with the ILO principles. So we want to know why people were not in the labor force. Probably they were sick, they were pregnant, they were in school, what we call the outside labor force, for which they did not participate in the labor market, but not this specific one.
And you say the first two quarters have shown this, particularly in this third quarter, it is also rising. That is not good news, if you ask me. What do you say?
You mean in terms of the unemployed? Exactly,
particularly. I'm worried about the numbers of women, because if you look at the last census that was done by your organization as well, you have more women in the population mix than there are men. So if they can't find work, and they usually would be the ones managing the home when the men are away, then there's fire on the mountain. Don't you agree?
Yes, of course, the social demographics is always the case that the women are more than men. But again, it also boils down to the participation in terms of, like I already indicated, the search. Whereas, I think I would want to repeat again, a man will go all out. And then also, if you like, their physiological characteristics could also play a role. I mean, if a woman, even we call it female labor supply, because women will give birth. And so, of course, when a woman is pregnant, obviously that woman will be out of job at a point. That's why we say reason for inactivity. It's one of the reasons. So it could also be one of the reasons, but there may be other factors. That may point to that.
What kinds of jobs did you put your lenses on that women may or may not get or are not getting?
So in terms of jobs, we have looking at the employment sector, we have the public sector jobs, we have private formal, we also have private informal, and then of course you have the other forms of work. So in general, we may have to go into the data, but of course I would have to let me make reference to the public sector jobs. I think we need to go into the data, but obviously more men rather gain, as it were, job in the public sector more than men. So let me see here, as you can see, the public sector. That's something that we need to go into, but the jobs are in different sectors. So probably, as I said, the sector of employment is also key. We have more of these women in the informal sector, such as the private informal. So we may have to go into the data.
I hear you. Thank you very much, Anthony Odro-Denchira is a labor economist and statistician and a member of the annual Household Income and Expenditure Project Implementation Team at the Ghana Statistical Service. Grateful that you could talk to us. We're grateful. And it brings us to 22 minutes after 9 here on 3FM 92.7. We'll activate the phone lines in a bit. I still have in studio Haja Loratu Sasaka and Margaret Tanse, aka Mago. Ajay, you were airborne. Sorry about that. The ins and outs. So the question I asked was that if you want to put the principle on Ablakwah and suggest that, look, he works within an institution, the legislature. He has all the channels to be able to table whatever he has found out for it to be dealt with at that level, but he rather chooses to put it out there in the public domain. You say you don't like the approach he's taking, but you don't disagree that he's asking questions. Then flip the coin and ask the president. He made a personal pledge to God. Give me a second term, I'll build you a cathedral. Now, before we knew it, the cathedral had moved from a private pledge, which he went ahead to raise funds for, into what he now calls a national monument, which we do not have, which we need to have, when the people had not asked for it at all. Are they not doing the same things? And should you not also be asking the president questions why he's turning a private dream and vision into a public burden?
Johnny, the president made a pledge as well.
Right, microphone please.
The president made a pledge as well. He made a pledge as a president, didn't he? When he was campaigning before 2017, even way before 2016 election, he made promises, free SHS, industrialization, policies and all that. He's implementing them. So where do we draw the line between, well, why is this particular one being said?
It was not a manifesto promise. He said that I will build a cathedral for God.
It's not everything that was said on the campaign platform that's in the manifesto. It's not everything that we are implementing now based on some of these information that we have, based on data we've gathered and all that were in the manifesto. So that's a bit, if you want to put it that way, then we might miss the point.
But he said that he will build a cathedral for God. I'm trying to look for the tape
when
to play
the
for you.
president says, I will implement free SHS, you don't find that as personal.
He went to BBC and said his party, the New Patriotic Party, which he leads, if they win power, would do.
Who was leading it?
Well, him, but who
is the president? So
are you suggesting to me that it was a personal pledge? The free SHS was a personal pledge?
No, that's what I'm saying. The man made a lot of as candidates before and as president when he was seeking a second term, made promises. I'll put it that way, because once you're campaigning, everything you say is a promise that will be fulfilled if the people you're appealing to give you what you're looking for. He leads us. He's the father of the nation.
So
he says, I'll do something. If your father goes out to promise something, he leads and does it in the name of the family, doesn't he?
I'm struggling to get how a personal pledge.
I don't know why you want to treat all the things that were said.
No, not all the things. This particular one, the president.
Is it because it's a cathedral?
No, he said.
Is it because it's a religious?
No, it's not. I mean, because he said it is a personal pledge to God that if God gives him a second term, he will build him a cathedral.
As what?
As president.
Exactly, as president. And who is the president? The father of the nation.
I see. Interesting. So that's the view of Lorato. This is the view of the New Patriotic Party. That's your understanding of what it is. But let's.
Said, I Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Everything he said was preceded by that, and want to single out one thing.
Okay.
Look, Johnny, nobody is in support of anything untoward. Nobody is in support of our taxes being used in a wrong way. Right. But we need to put some of these things in the proper perspective. Everything he said was preceded by I Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Right. And even in the second term, he went as a candidate and as a president.
Okay, I hear you. Let's look at the revelations by Okudzeto Ablakwah, the latest one. Somebody told me jokingly, as for the MPP, they have a history with addresses. Somebody mentioned CNTCI loan, which landed us in a hairdresser's shop, and they say, well, this one is also landed us in a warehouse. Were you surprised, as we are all surprised, that the consultants who are supposed to be raising funds actually leads us into a warehouse that has never been used before?
Johnny, I was thinking you're going to also refer to what the people managing the cathedral also said.
Here?
Yes, they released a statement.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
What did they say?
Have you seen the statement?
What did they say?
You've seen Okudzeto's revelations. Have you seen the statement?
What did they say? So tell us. I'm listening.
They made reference to what is there as a holding address. I'm not an expert in US systems and how their system works. But you see, then it brings us back to using the right institutions to do some of these things. You gather information. People blow their whistle. People go and seek information. We have laws. Institutions take interest in things. You've become, technically, he's become like a whistleblower. You blow the whistle and take the action.
Don't you think that we should be taking what the secretariat says with a pinch of salt? Because they're the same people who told us we are not spending any state resources to build this cathedral, only for us to recognize that we had actually built and spent monies without even the approval of Parliament.
But did you
and these are the same people you want us to trust. It becomes difficult to trust them.
Did you also follow the submissions of the Attorney General when my own brother Kabila, James Bonfe, now Dr.
James Bonfe, right,
took the issue to court? Did you follow the submissions of the government? How were they going to? We can have conversations on location of it.
It's not about location. I'm talking about the principle that these men of God told us that we're not going to spend any state resources.
If you leave me to go on. When the Attorney General made those statements, definitely there was going to be a national cathedral. People were going to contribute to it. State was going to contribute to it, and that was made known by the Attorney General when the case was being done.
In terms of the land.
Yes, land and all that. But if you're going to give someone land, it comes with other things that you do.
Like money that is not approved from Parliament.
Come again.
Like money not approved from Parliament, but yet was spent.
Money that was not approved
from Parliament. The last one, the 80 million that was stopped, and prior to that, monies that had been spent without the approval of Parliament. That's what I'm talking about.
If Parliament can stop an 80 million, that should show you that all the others. Nobody can just spend money. There are different levels, even in institutions. Margot will tell you when she was MCE or DCE, MCE, you're MCE, right? When she was MCE, she had a threshold.
Right.
Her entity tender committee had a threshold. So all these things come into play. They are financial money.
So the National Cathedral has a threshold.
No, what I'm saying is you said money that wasn't approved.
Yes.
It's not everything that goes to Parliament, depending on what is being used.
But the National Cathedral is not supposed to be drawing from our money at all. That's the point.
That's why I asked you, did you follow the submissions of the Attorney General?
I don't need to follow the Attorney General. I'm following the President who takes precedence.
State was contributing to it by giving land and other things.
Other things like what? I'm listening to the President who takes precedence over the Attorney General.
Yes.
The President had told me that this cathedral will not be a burden on the state. How is it that my money is being spent without authorization?
We're having this conversation because of the times we find ourselves in. And like last week, we were talking about priorities and all that. I don't think if everything was moving, if we hadn't had all these issues we are having, I doubt if this would have been a conversation. Maybe something would have come up on it. But you see, some of these things, it's not a matter of we need to break the issues down. Because there's been one too many of these allegations that have just been treated as conversations on the media, treated as conversations on a social media platform, and they've gone unattended to. Let's use our institutions. Let's strengthen our institutions. You just spoke to someone from Statistical Service. Johnny, for me, it's something that we should be commending them for. Because over the years, we've only had GLSS and census. Census is 10-year interval.
That's right.
Data changes. And even now, with all the transformation and all that, data changes by the second. GLSS is within 5 years. Sometimes, if there are no resources, it go to 8 years. I think the next one is in 2024 or so. But if you have a survey that comes every quarter to tell you that this is how far you've reached in all these things, it helps to plan better. It helps for policy. And I think you should look at the reports. The one that was released, the first quarter and second quarter was released in August last year.
Right.
And now they released the third quarter. There's a trend. And you see, apart from we having our national programs, apart from we having our national commitments, we have continental and global. When you talk about Agenda 2063, that's AU, you talk about 2030 SDGs and all that. We have commitment to all those things. So some of these surveys. So when surveys come out, because they've just released the labor force component of it, and when you even talk about it, and one thing that's
don't you think that 399 million so far spent on the cathedral could have created more jobs for these women?
Come again?
Don't you think that 399 million cedis could have created more jobs for these women who have been captured in this report?
With all due respect, Johnny,
yes, madam.
I'll say that's being simplistic.
Oh, how?
Yes, because you see, when this survey, when you read the background to it, they capture people who are in employment 7 days to so it's like 7 days to you should be engaged something. When it comes to women. And that is why I'm saying these things help formulate policies well and guide us in what we do.
Okay.
Women are generally in the services and informal sector. When you have an economy that we have at the moment, it will definitely affect the informal sector. So definitely these numbers will come. But when you don't do a proper analysis of the report, go by like you are asking him what goes in. When they go on even when you go into the breakdown, the regional breakdown, you realize the disparities. So we need to be encouraging some of these things, discuss them properly, and push more solution-centered policies to some of these things, because the one-size-fits-all, the way we've been doing things over
it doesn't
the years,
help.
it's not helping.
Let me bring in Margot. Margot, how do you feel, a woman leader, knowing that your fellow women cannot find jobs to do?
Johnny, just
even more when they are in the majority.
Even when you look at the report, even when it comes to wages, there's a huge disparity.
That's
Men
right.
are taking, I think, 11 cedis and change. Women are taking 6 cedis and 90 pesos. So all those things need a
Johnny,
careful thinking through.
Margot.
It's a sad day, and I am just surprised, honestly.
2.7.
Johnny, the National Cathedral, it costs from where we stand now, it's going to cost us about $1 billion. It is more expensive than Akosomoda, than the Tuabo Gas, than UGMC Hospital, than Terminal 3. So I am surprised if anybody wants to treat it with kit cloths. This National Cathedral thing we're talking about, it was not in the manifesto of the MPP. We heard about their promises, free SHS, one that. Or is it like the passport, the airport they promised the people of Cape Coast or the Central Region? What are you talking about, Loratu? This is a project which is more expensive than any other project that has developed people and given employment in this country. And you want us to sweep it under the carpet? You don't want us to correct the wrongs so that we don't go and waste money. Johnny, so far, 400 million Ghana cedis is in the hole. And you were asking if it cannot create. Can you imagine the number of physician assistants this money can pay? Nurses that it can pay? Teachers? What? No. This thing is a whole scam. It's a scam. This country has been scammed, and we should not stop talking about it today, tomorrow next.
You don't see the vision.
Posterity will come and judge us.
You don't see the vision.
Look at how our kids are being trained, how reasonable and conscious our children are. Then we will sit there and watch this go unsaid nothing, then our children will come and question our ability to raise them. Why we allow this, that a hoe is more expensive than even industries? Really?
Where do we put the women in all of this mix?
The point is that, you see, now we have even moved from priorities, accountability, transparency. You see, this government does not listen. How can you do a personal promise and now we want to term it as like free SHS? Really?
3FM.
And as you said, this clergy were convinced that it's going to be a personal thing. That is why they got involved. And Johnny, if it had been a personal thing, we are politicians. When we embark in our personal campaigns and stuff, friends donate to us. When I contested National Women's Organizer, my classmates as far as JSS, they contributed and bought me fuel. If I tell you the amount, you'll be surprised because they believed in me. It was my personal project. So if Nanado had even said that, this is a pledge I made to God, please, my friends and family, help me build it, I think people will have voluntarily done that. But for Okudieto Ablakwah, we had taken over 52 million into a hole, and you don't want the person, and you sit and you want to attack the person.
Okay,
Is it about the person or it's about the substance of the issue? Why are you being evasive and dodgy? The thing is bad.
Okay.
A president will wake up and promise a girlfriend, I'll buy you a jet, and the next day they'll tell us that because he's the president of Ghana, he can use our state resources to buy. Is that the logic?
Mago, be calming down.
Mago,
be calming down.
Is that the logic?
Mago, be calming down. Be calming down.
No, Johnny, is that the logic?
Be calming down. Be calming down.
Because somebody has become a president, whatever he says, the state must bear it. Why? Isn't his father's money he's using to buy all those things?
Be calming down.
It is our taxes, Johnny. If you look at the excruciating hardship our people are suffering, then you hear government speak like this. It's appalling.
Be calming down. Be
And
calming
here
down.
we are, women. Out of 3, 2 are women who are unemployed. What are we doing about it as a state?
That's what I'm
see,
asking
with this whole unemployment thing, I'll reiterate or amplify this point again. On the Minister for Employment vetting, February 2021.
Ignatius Bafowa.
Exactly, he has a very nice name. He said to vetting or at vetting, that they have created 3 million jobs. That was 2021 February. He was at a function in Sunyani, somewhere 16th September. He told us that they've created 5.3 million jobs.
Dr. Bawumia says 2 million.
The president, the vice president, April 27th, told us, 2023 now, that they have created over 2 million jobs. The former minister for Agric, who is aspiring to become a presidential aspirant, told us that they've created 2 million jobs. Johnny, you at 3FM, Sunrise here, you are working with people, and you see such discrepancies. How will you feel? Are people not sleeping on the job? Johnny, we are paying the president to think, give solution. We buy his boots, his lace, his shirts, his fuel. We are paying ministers, agencies, whatever. You cannot even give us correct data about employment in this country. Then what is your use?
Thank you. We're grateful. Margaret Ansai, Mago, and Hajia Loratu. You people have to be calming down, okay?
No,
be calming down. Our time is up. We have paid for. We have paid for.
No, it's so bad.
Stick to the issue.
It's so bad. A president makes a promise.
Building a nation.
The next issue is a paid for interview. Yes, that is the issue.
A girlfriend private jet and tell her that because